Here's a question for you, both at their prime. Who's the best Ronaldo?
R9.
R9.
Phenomenal.
Ronaldo.
R9.
R9 Ronaldo.
We're going strikers, I'm going to have to say R9.
One of the most one-sided debates in football history is the comparison between two of the greatest players to have ever graced the game. On one side, you have one of the most beloved Brazilians in Ronaldo the Phenomenal, and on the other, you have the Portuguese legend himself, Cristiano Ronaldo. So, as obvious as this question might probably be, which one of these two icons had a bigger peak throughout their entire careers, and should be a victor in a comparison of their primes? Well, the answer to that question is probably not what you would expect. The most common version of Ronaldo the Phenomenal that people like to say is his prime is the 1996-97 season that he had for FC Barcelona. A season where he was destroying teams in Europe for fun and was at the absolute peak of his powers. However, as great as Nazário was during his absolute best, Cristiano Ronaldo has been playing for so long that there is at least 4 different versions of the player that R9 can be compared with. That's how crazy CR7 was during his absolute peak. For the sake of this video, we will be using Cristiano's 2011-2012 season, as he's probably one of the most well-rounded version we had at Real Madrid. However, make no mistake, the result of this video would probably remain the same even if we choose a different version of Cristiano Ronaldo's peak. If we are looking at this from a statistical approach, Ronaldo the Phenomenal in the 1996-97 season had a total of 47 goals along with 13 assists for Barcelona, which is an incredible 1.2 goal contributions per game, which is really high, especially when compared to many of the other legends of the game. However, next to Cristiano's numbers in the 2011-2012 season, these numbers are nothing special at all. Cristiano's 1.36 goal contributions per game is not only a lot better, this is just one of the many seasons where Ronaldo was scoring and creating goals for fun, shattering the perception of what it really means to be an absolute all-time player. Now, one can argue in Nazario's defense by saying that these are 2 different generations in football, essentially alluding to the fact that there are factors which makes it harder for Nazario to score. And while that very much is the case, there is also factors in the modern game which make scoring just as complicated, meaning difficulties and difference across generations, especially in this case, is probably not that significant to make this comparison invalid. So when it comes down to it, Cristiano Ronaldo does have the edge when it comes to goals and assists at his peak in contrast to Nazario. So this is just 1 point for him. However, what most people use as a guiding metric when talking about Nazario's greatness is not necessarily the numbers behind what he did in '97. It was this guy's breathtaking playing style as a center forward that most people are obsessed with. A playing style that's very much rare and is probably extinct in this position. Let me explain. It shouldn't be surprising when I say that there is not a period in Cristiano's career at Madrid where he was better than Nazario at ITES. So to be completely transparent, this is already a point for the Brazilian. However, just how much of a monster Nazario was in comparison to Cristiano is what a lot of people don't even understand. For example, when it comes down to dribbling, Nazario's dribbling skills is pretty much unmatched, which is why it's the #1 trait that he's known for. Cristiano in the 2011-2012 season was able to make 2.9 successful dribbles per game in the Champions League, having a success rate of 58%. Compared to the only number I could find for Nazario, which was 4.67 successful dribbles per game in '97. Now, what makes this number 4.67 so significant, even if it's potentially inflated or deflated, is the fact that it's from the position center forward and not from another position like the wing or the midfield. If a winger has Ronaldo's numbers, it can very well be argued that that's just a regular dribbler. However, for a striker to be pushing 5 successful dribbles per game is absolutely insane and is pretty much unheard of. This is well into the 99th percentile for all strikers, not just in the modern game, but I would argue of all time. That's how crazy these numbers actually is. Unless you have a winger that's good enough to play as a striker, that's probably one of the only time you will ever see numbers like this. So this is just 1 point for Nazario. Skills and flair is also in Nazario's favor, and again, there is really no debate here at all. If we were talking about peak Man United Ronaldo, then there would at least be a conversation to be had here. But when it really comes down to it, Nazario's skills and flair at his best was second to none. In literally one season alone, he was able to walk past his opponent's keeper 9 times before putting the ball in the back of the net. This guy is a personification of skills and flair, so this is not even up for debate. Now, when it comes down to strength and speed, Cristiano is on the faster and more physical side of things when all is considered. According to the official Champions League website, Cristiano's top speed during this year was 32 km per hour, which is pretty consistent with most of his recorded speeds at Man United. However, when compared to R9's top speed, Cristiano's running speed is nothing at all. With an unofficial top speed of 37 km per hour, R9 was potentially on par with players like Mbappe or even Thierry Henry at his absolute peak. And although this number isn't fully confirmed, just by looking at how fast Ronaldo was moving throughout this season, there is just no way Cristiano was running at these speeds. And this is the same when it comes down to their overall strength as well, because R9 was known for his physical abilities during this period of his career. And he is probably one of the few legendary players that people have never seen simulating before. So this is just another point for him. The only thing that Cristiano Ronaldo have on R9 is the fact that his shooting and passing skills is just superior in almost every way, seeing that he's more versatile and accurate whenever he's attempting to shoot or pass the ball. And although this is a small section of what's considered the eye test, this is actually the number one problem. When debating about two players' peaks, the eye test accounts for about 40 to 50% of the reasons why a manager or a fan would choose one player over another, with about 30% representing their statistical achievements and 15% for both impact on team along with their peak performances. And within each category, you have subcategories that's available to choose from. However, this is only in the case with certain types of midfielders. Attacking-minded positions are graded on a totally different basis along with every other positions. Defenders are graded on their ability to defend, while midfielders are graded on their ability to connect defense with offense. However, attackers, they are graded on their ability to create as much goal-scoring opportunities as possible. And it's because of this reason why this comparison wasn't really close at all. Whether you like Cristiano Ronaldo or not, it is undeniable that whenever he's playing, he only has one goal in mind, and that is to create as many goal-scoring scenarios as possible. And with him focusing on maximizing everything, which gives him a direct path to his mission, which is to create as many goal-scoring opportunities as possible, this is the real reason why this isn't really close at all, because he just finds a way to score. What really put this into perspective other than their statistical footprint is their overall impact on their team. Even if we are only talking about these 2 seasons, Cristiano Ronaldo's impact is quantifiably better in almost every way possible. For example, for Cristiano in the 2011-2012 season, over half of his goal contributions were against the teams that finished within the top 10 of the league, when for R9, only 36% of his goals were against the top 10 hardest teams. This gets even worse if we were to look at the top 5 teams that finished within the league, with Cristiano having over 20% of his goal contributions against the top 5 hardest teams, when only a mere 4% of R9 goals were against the top 5 hardest opposition he had to face within that year. So essentially, it doesn't really matter if R9 is running past 5 opponents to score a goal. He's not going to outscore Ronaldo, i.e. create more goal scoring scenarios, and it's not like he's doing this against the very best teams in the league that often anyway. And this is just us only talking about their direct goal involvement. The level of play that Cristiano demands of his teammates via his personality and hyper-competitiveness is most likely on a whole different level compared to R9 many times over, which also reflects in the results of each game, and that's regardless of the level of competition. This also shows in their overall performance as well, as CR7 does have the edge when it comes down to who had better games, tournament, and league performances. For instance, Nazário no doubt had better tournament performances during the years in question, playing on a world-class level in Copa America and for the Confederation Cup for Brazil, and also in the Copa del Rey for Barcelona, scoring a ton of goals and getting a lot of assists for his squad, while Ronaldo only really played well in the Champions League during that year, but was ultimately knocked out of the competition. So I think it's only fair to give Nazario at this point. However, in regards to who played better for a single game or for the league season, Cristiano actually has the advantage here. In regards to the league, he was more active in front of goal in comparison to R9, and it didn't really matter who the opponent really was. He was much more of a net positive for the team, which is quite evident by the 9 hat-tricks that he scored in that one season alone. So this is not even up for debate at all. And for a single game, you can make an argument that R9's peak performances is probably more balanced based on a statistical and from an eye test standpoint. And while that is true, it's not just the fact that Cristiano has games on the same level as R9 throughout this season, it's literally the sheer number of them that's so impressive. For every great performance that R9 had throughout this season, Ronaldo just have a bunch of high quality hat-tricks that he has in his corner. So at worst for Ronaldo, this is probably just a draw. So what's the overall conclusion here? Well, if we are talking about who's the more rounded player, the answer to that question is R9. Because in his prime, he wasn't just good at goal scoring, he was a lot better based on the eye test. So within that context, he is the better player. However, if you were asked the question, who would you choose to play on your team for a single game, tournament, or season, the answer to that question should always be Cristiano Ronaldo, with almost no exception. Because the main role of an attacker is to create goal-scoring opportunities for the team, and in that context, Ronaldo has a massive advantage. And what really solidifies that advantage is the fact that it doesn't matter who he's going up against, and that's a fact that's irrefutable. So what do you guys think? Please like and comment down below what you think about this video and who you would like to see next on the channel. And as always, thanks for watching.